What did you just do with the light, Sean?
I'm making myself pretty. Here, let me
Okay,
dim
you
it
look
down.
good. You look good.
I do? Nice.
All right, Sean. Greetings and welcome to Obscuria Filmcast, where we discuss the strange, the esoteric, the absurd films that have slipped through the cracks of history. Today, we've got Sean presenting.
Arizona Dream, released in 1994, starring Johnny Depp, Vincent Gallo, Faye Dunaway, Lili Taylor, and Jerry Lewis, with Paulina Porizkova is in there too, the supermodel. She made some headlines like last month. She's in this, and I did the math. She was 28 when she did this movie. She was pretty good. She actually started a movie in the 80s with Tom Selleck. But I remember seeing Arizona Dream on Comedy Central way back when. And back when they used to play movies on TV, they would always play it in like loops or cycles or whatever else. Anyway, so I saw it a few times, not really from beginning to end, but I would catch the beginning one time or the end or whatever else. And it was always so this like wacky, weird, artistic, funny, dramatic movie all in one that, at least for me, is the epitome of 90s independent cinema. The director, I can't pronounce his name. He's a Serbian French man, grew up in France. Emir something. I can't pronounce his name, but it seems like he shot this movie in 1992, and then he put it together or whatever else. It was released in '94 with not much fanfare. I guess that's why it landed on Comedy Central so soon. But Jerry Lewis is in it. And he didn't really do a lot of roles. I mean, outside of his own directing, he was in a lot of movies that he directed himself. But outside of that, he didn't do much.
I
And
think
he
it's
was in this, and he was
pronounced, sorry to
phenomenal.
interrupt, Kusturica.
Emir Kusturica,
Kusturica.
Costa Rica,
Kind
Costa
of, kind
Rica,
of, yeah, no, Kusturica.
Costa Rica. Emir, you're wonderful, and I'm sure he still smokes cigarettes. But it was just this movie is just fantastic, and it seemed to me, this filmmaker, this movie is like an homage of American cinema, which is why I wanted to wear my famous cowboy hat tonight. Because it's Arizona Dream, and I want to look good. So I figured that's what I did. But that's why I want to recommend this movie, because it is obscure. It has everything. Even like watching it again, the takes were long, and it seemed like this director like planned out these elaborate takes, which I love that stuff. The camera goes here, the actors go there, the camera moves, they go over there. Some of the takes, the one in the Cadillac dealership was like 6 minutes. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. The story is loose, but it's tied together with a theme of airplane or of flying, of flight. You see fish flying, and what I really liked about it is that it was bookended in this Eskimo story. So a lot of the majority of it takes place in Arizona. You see Johnny Depp as a game preserve animal ranger in New York doing things with fish, and then he goes to Arizona, and that's where the dream kind of starts, because he kind of gets kidnapped by Vincent Gallo, and the movie has you to believe that Vincent Gallo drove from New York City to Arizona in like one night. So is that the beginning of the dream or whatever? But it was bookended with these two Eskimo storylines, one in the beginning and one in the end, with this narration. And I just thought that was wonderful, because the Eskimo stuff really has nothing to do with the actual movie. But that's what I like about it, because with the French, they're more into philosophies. They're not really a 3-act structure type of narrative here. They're into philosophies and exploring it. And that's what I caught in Arizona Dream. I find it as one of the rare gems that you get to introduce to your friends. Of you like weird stuff, check out this movie, because it basically has everything. And here you go. Even Wes Anderson, I thought, was a little inspired by this film, the way that they do
I could see
some
that.
things. But I would like to hear what everyone else has to say.
Judy?
Steph, Judy.
I'll go. Totally. Thank you for picking this film, Sean. I enjoyed it. I wouldn't quite say I loved it, just because I'm the type I like to films that I notice myself thinking about after are typically the ones that I put in that category. But I really enjoyed watching it. Specifically and I don't think this will get too much into spoilers. I don't know if you can do too many spoilers with this film aside from the ending.
I don't think
or
we should
something.
worry about spoilers.
Don't worry about spoilers. Okay.
Yeah.
The dining scene, the first scene after the car dealership when they're at the house and the two women, Faye Dunaway and Lily Allen, get into a fight, and then she's like, "I'm gonna kill myself," and it was such a great scene. It just and then she ends up
The
jumping
scene
off
with
the balcony to kill herself.
Wait, is that the scene with the turtles on the dining
Yes,
table?
it starts off with the turtle on the table, and then she's like bouncing from her pantyhose, which like can't even happen. But it's just so absurd and enjoyable and dramatic, like all at the same time, that you're sort of like, you're like that scene. I was like, okay, I don't know if I'm watching a movie or a play, like, because it's kind of both. Like I could almost see that whole set like on a stage. Like I would want to see that play. If they just continued that for 2 hours, I would be totally in. I loved that scene. I just thought it was so great, and really is just sort of like one of those moments where you're like, I have no idea what's going to happen. And the acting was great. I really sometimes still don't understand some of it, but the character, I guess I did really enjoy the film. It was just like everybody was so into their character and driven, but yet I wasn't really sure about what, so you were kind of like, I found myself always just sort of
like searching.
Yeah, just it had an element of mystery, like these characters were fully dimensional, right? They were like real people that just do things that you're like, oh, and then there's that. Oh, okay. They felt real, a little crazy, all of them were kind of like a little nutty in their own way. But I liked that because it didn't feel like any of them was a caricature or a stereotype, really. The only thing that I will say with Jerry Lewis, though, is that it sort of like took me out just in his scenes, because I was like, that's Jerry Lewis. Oh, that's interesting. Like I see him and some of the facial expressions he made, which were great. He's a great performer. Just sort of like almost felt like it was like a little bit like his scenes were a little bit of a different movie.
Yeah, it's like he was making a guest appearance in the film.
Yeah. And
like,
so it was just like I could see Jerry Lewis, like
they almost should have called him Jerry Lewis in the film.
Yeah. So, and it was just a little bit weird. There were some moments that sort of reminded me of like, oh, feel like this is like a prelude to Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, which I think was like a few years later. But I really enjoyed it. I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts on some of the things that they wrapped up in the ending in terms, I felt like it had a little bit of like a spiritual esoteric element to it. And you guys can take it away now, Seth or Abram.
Abram, you want to go or I'll go?
Sure. So I really I enjoyed the film, and and I had a lot of issues with it at the same time. But strangely, it's had an effect on me that I didn't anticipate. I thought it would be one of those movies where it would just be like, yeah, or just kind of like would recede into the, into the deep recesses of my memory.
Oh yeah.
And I would just like lose affection for it. But actually, when I think about the film, I'm like, I have fond memories of it. It's been weeks since we've seen it because we've been delayed, but it is a movie I would like to go back and revisit in the future. I think the one major stumbling block for me, the thing that made it difficult for me to sit through, was the fact that each scene was like, everything was like one non sequitur after another. Things didn't get tied together, and there was zero predictability. And the more that would happen throughout the movie, the more it created a sort of anxiety, which is like, what the fuck am I watching? Because you have the first scene. It got more and more uncomfortable as the movie went on, because you start to realize like there are no patterns and there is nothing I can anticipate. And when you're dealing with storytelling, and this is true with any kind of art, I think, really, because all art forms are a form of storytelling. All human communication is a form of storytelling, and we live in stories. So if there's nothing identifiable, if you don't have a scene that sets up another scene where you're like, I think this might happen, or this could happen, or that, like there's a realm of possibilities, and then it's some slight variation of what you anticipate, it's very difficult to feel fully engaged in the story. Now, if you go into this movie understanding that it's going to be a series of ridiculous, capricious non sequiturs and weird character stuff, almost like literally, they do tell you in the title, it's kind of like watching a dream, because that kind of stuff does happen in dreams. Although I would say this film makes less sense than most dreams do. But that's why I remarked to Sean that what I think what this director's genius is, and what he's really accomplished in this film, is what John Cage accomplished in the world of classical music, because he did the exact same thing. He wanted to break down all recognizable form of music making and create music that actually that you couldn't anticipate anything that would come next. And he succeeded in that, in a lot of the work that he did. But this is, I mean, it's truly a masterpiece. The shots are set up incredibly well, and Sean mentioned earlier that the film employs really long takes, long shots that I think most people don't even notice that when they're watching movies, but that's become more and more rare in mainstream filmmaking, and because it's much more demanding on the actors, the director, the cinematographer, all the technicians. There's a lot, like, film seems to rely a lot on cuts and edits in order to compensate for mistakes and things of that nature. So there's clearly a lot of deliberateness in this, and you're watching it's an incredible theater piece. The acting is amazing. There are moments that are really like laugh out loud hilarious.
Hilarious.
So absurd. Yeah.
Hilarious.
Just, but I think the way, what would have made this film perfect for me, and maybe not for other people, but is if every scene was like a music video and they did like a different song for every scene. Because it really, even though there isn't, like, the music is really cool that they use. It was like this kind of weird like dance hall type of indie dance hall, kind of like,
but it had a beat.
Yeah, it had a beat. It was cool. And I think if they had done a song for each scene, it would have been, I don't know, maybe like one long music video. It may have been able to carry it better or something. I don't know, but it's definitely an interesting film. I don't really have anything bad to say about it. I just think that it's difficult to sit through movies, like, because of the things that I was just identifying.
Let me just make a note of that. The original cut is 142 minutes. I saw the 2-hour version, so there's like a missing 24 minutes of this movie. Some I guess there's another one this movie's even longer, which is actually kind of cool, and I want to try to check that out. But I was wondering, Seth Michael's point of view, especially the acting, how did it affect you?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, the acting is fabulous in this movie.
Is it? Okay.
I don't think there's one bad performance in this film.
It's a great cast. It was cast perfectly.
Great
I think.
cast.
They have great chemistry.
They have great chemistry. There's something really real about Lili Taylor and Faye Dunaway's relationship. Like, I've seen neurotic families that fight that way. Like, it's just like, oh, well, I'll just kill myself. Like, it's you can see how they push each other's buttons the same way consistently. And when you first meet them and they do that dynamic, it feels very like, oh, they do this all the time to each other. Like, this is how they exist with each other and can't stand each other at the same time.
They also have a very unusual relationship, being like stepmother, widow stepmother and stepdaughter, who
Yeah.
controls the purse strings because she was the one who inherited from her father, and it's just very weird.
Yeah, it's
like,
very,
I've never seen that
weird
before.
symbiotic relationship.
It's very Chekhovian because, like, in Uncle Vanya, the mother is dead, and then the professor was married to the mother and now has a new wife. So, like, and Vanya is related to the original mother. So it's like this whole, so this is a similar thing where, like, those two are thrown together and somebody controls the purse strings of the other, and they have no blood genetics in between the two of them. Just
Can I say
Yeah.
this? I do like the screenwriting too, because these characters seem, I mean this as a compliment, but they kind of seem like cartoonish, but yet real. And I say cartoonish because when I mean cartoonish, it's like when, like, you don't imagine the character having any sort of life beyond what you're seeing them in, you know? That's that's what I
they're not
mean. It was
behaving in any way that we can identify as like
Right.
normal human behavior. They're just
Right, but I think
nothing they do makes any sense.
but it works because they each have a desire. And as silly as whatever, because Lili Taylor wants to be a turtle. That's her desire. But it still kind of works, as silly as it sounds, because then you imagine that type of dysfunctional relationship she has with Faye Dunaway maybe just fried Lili Taylor's mind to want to just become a turtle because they're free and she has all these preconceived notions about it, which I think that really works. And like even Faye Dunaway, she wants to fly, and she does in the movie. Vincent Gallo wants to, I don't know, I think he just wants to be an actor. But like almost living the Cary Grant life, and I also think that's
he's the best through line of the whole movie.
Yeah,
Vincent Gallo's character makes the movie work, in my opinion, to the degree.
Yeah, he is like the glue because he brings Johnny in, and like he's there, and he's
that scene where he does the stand-up South by Southwest thing.
North by Northwest.
North by right. North.
You're
by
thinking
Northwest.
the festival,
I'm thinking of
the music.
festival,
You're thinking of music festival. Yeah.
No, sorry. North by Northwest. That's an obvious error on my part. North by Northwest, the Hitchcock film. That's absurd and hilarious, that scene, and then it gets played out again with Faye Dunaway. Mm-hmm. It's a scene for the audience. It's the scene, and Vincent Gallo gets up on at some weird like hillbilly like strange open mic where the old people in the audience are voting. I mean, it's totally
and they
weird.
cut in with the movie.
And they cut in with the original movie, but he's just like, this, I'm gonna do my impression of Cary Grant when he's getting chased by the airplane in North by Northwest. And it's basically just the soundtrack of the plane flying towards him while he's on stage at an open mic, diving onto the floor whenever the plane noise gets loud enough to where it suggests that, it reflects the scene.
And he's jumping on the stage.
He's jumping on the stage and diving and sliding, and people are laughing in the crowd, and then eventually people are booing, and then eventually they're pulling him off the stage.
But then he's like, I was a 10. I was a 10. That was 10. That was brilliant.
It was a 10. I mean, it was brilliant
pretty brilliant
because of the performance. And then that scene gets replayed when Faye Dunaway finally does succeed in taking control of her rickety flying machine that she built, and she starts chasing Vincent Gallo, outdoors on, in Arizona, wherever they are.
Hey, Judy, that's kind of like the pretend world of the performing of North by Northwest, and then in the movie reenacting the scene. That's like fantasy and reality switching boundaries.
Yeah,
that's what the French do. There was a lot of American cinema homage. I wrote it down. He did North by Northwest. There was an homage to Gone with the Wind at the Decoration played in the end. I think there was a clip from Raging Bull in there somewhere. He also did the most famous scene ever in film. Vincent Gallo did it by himself the Michael Fredo scene in Godfather Part 2, which
Oh,
is
yeah.
one of the most famous scenes in history, and he's doing it. And
He's doing it
just-
while
I
he's
just thought it-
watching the movie in his bedroom.
it's weird because Vincent Gallo's Sicilian, Michael Corleone Fredo, Sicilian. See?
Yeah, you're making connections there.
Yeah, baby.
Wow.
He's also hammered, I think, in it.
Is he?
Right?
In
When he
real
goes-
life.
No, well,
Actually-
maybe, I don't know.
Actually, I emailed Vincent Gallo for this podcast, and I bought merch off his website. I got the Brown Bunny soundtrack and like a homoerotic magazine he
Yeah.
signed. This is from like 02. This was $80.
I think it's beyond homoerotic. I think it's
Yeah.
It's weird.
Sean has a massive man crush on Vincent Gallo.
Vincent Gallo.
He emailed me back. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, what? At like 7 a.m.
Well, let's
He's an
shout
early
out,
riser, yeah.
shout out to Vincent Gallo for being what are you doing, bro? We're gonna get
This
banned
is
for
the
that.
magazine. Okay,
Don't
all right.
put
I
that
just wanted to
stuff
show
on.
the magazine. I'm done. I just really
I don't
wanted to
need
show
it.
the magazine.
Nobody wants to see that, Sean.
No.
Anyway, okay.
I'm sure
I don't know.
somebody wants to see it, but I don't
Yes.
think they'll watch our show.
No.
$80. $80.
To get a signed
Yeah.
magazine from.
This is
Vincent
one of the
Gallo.
cheaper
Okay,
items,
yeah.
but I figured I would have to buy at least 2 if I'm going to get
How
him
much,
emailing
so
how
back.
much is it to have Vincent Gallo come over to your house for the weekend?
$50,000.
$50,000. You
But
get
no.
you.
Listen,
get
shout out to Vincent Gallo for sticking to his guns and doing what he believes in and holding on to his values and principles. I listened to that
Since the
Howard Stern
70s.
interview afterwards, and I was actually really impressed with him. Even though I don't know, I didn't see Brown Bunny yet. Maybe I'll go see it, but he
It's
just
good.
does his thing, and now he hasn't been in a film in a very long time, and now the Daily Wire, Ben Shapiro, and all those guys started a production company, and like he's got a major supporting role in this new film.
Yeah, I'll look it up. I forget
Yeah,
what
look
it's
it up.
called. Shut In.
Shut In. Yeah, it's about
In. Okay.
it's a thriller, and I haven't seen it yet, but I'm full disclosure, I'm a Daily Wire subscriber, so as many people as that might piss off, but they are starting to produce
Oh,
they
man.
are starting to produce some really
Mhm.
good independent film content. So
Wow, this looks
you know,
good.
good for Vincent Gallo for getting back onto film, and I know he says he only does it for the money, but I'm looking
He's
forward to seeing him
lying.
in that. Well, who knows? I think
Yeah.
it's true when you've been doing something for so long, and the fantasy of it is starting to fade away. Unless you're like a Woody Allen type, like you've mastered you can do whatever the hell you want every time you do it. You're playing with, you're a craftsman working with craftspeople building a chair, and you put your care into it or whatever, but you're doing it to make a buck. I don't
Yeah.
I don't have any illusions about that.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, that was he was great. Lili Taylor was amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
She's consistently amazing.
she's always
can't think-
amazing.
I
I've
can't
never
think
seen
of
her
a
do anything
bad Lili
bad.
Taylor
Yeah.
performance
Yeah.
ever.
I saw The Haunting twice because of her.
Is she conservatory?
And
Like, did she go to
Liam Neeson.
Juilliard or something?
Oh, I'll check it out. I don't know. I guess she could have
Does
been.
not
She
use the
seems
method.
classical.
I know that.
Yeah,
She's
but
not
she's
a proponent.
I
of the method.
believe that she seems like a very like traditional like conservatories trained actor.
All right,
actress.
ready? She
Yeah.
went to DePaul University.
She lives in
Drama.
Rhinebeck. Shout out to Lili Taylor. I think I might have served her once when I was working in the cafe up there.
DePaul has
Nice.
a very good acting program, or it used to.
DePaul.
Yeah.
Hey, where's Judy? I can't see her on my screen here.
I see her.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'm all
What did you
weird.
do, Sean? What did you do, Sean?
I'm all squished over here because I'm doing some research.
That's why you got to have your phone. You do the research on the phone.
Let's see. She was born in Illinois.
Illinois. Wow.
Yeah.
You know what I liked also and what I noticed about French films is that they do a lot of book endings. So not along with not just the Eskimo thing, Johnny Depp had a monologue in the beginning
Yeah.
and in the end, and he brings up two things both times. One thing is that his mother used to wake him up when he was a boy, as in saying "Good night, Columbus" or something, or like "Good morning, Columbus."
Listen. The French are they used to be good storytellers, but what happened to them is they started to decline as an empire, and I think that's why the motto changed. I think their storytelling motto is start well and end well, and in the middle is nobody's business.
Is that that makes
That's
sense?
what it seems to me to be with them, and in all of their all of their like, what is that movement? What would the film movement be called? Seth, Truffaut, and all those
It's
guys.
the new wave, the French new wave movement.
French New Wave. It's like after it's post, what do they call it? Neo-realism? Is that what it was called? Like the early Fellini.
Yeah, it's the whole thing that like no one had done was like no one did movies at that point where like you would have a robbery, but really it's about the guys sitting around in a diner talking about women, and the robbery is like incidental, like all that stuff that we associate with like Scorsese and Tarantino and things like that. No one had done that before. So, but their version of it is excessive. Like the Americans took it and like took the best stuff.
They took the style of it and still remained storytellers.
Yeah.
The French threw the story out the window.
Yeah, I think of it as in like they're just into philosophies. And also, so this "Good morning, Columbus" thing that his mother used to say, and Johnny Depp said the same anecdote about his father twice, in the beginning and in the end, about a hat is like having a job. So if you walk down the street, you don't have to be embarrassed about your ass because you're wearing a hat. And it's a nonsensical type of thing, but it's, I guess, before you see a movie, you hear something like that makes you think some sort of weirdo life philosophy, and it colors how you see the film. And then once you see the film, it wraps it up in the same philosophy too, and like brings the point home for whatever it means to you individually. And the French are really good at that.
It's philosophy for stoners.
It was the 90s. Early 90s was a confusing time, man. Everybody was having a good time.
You put like the hat on, and you go to the meaning and
was Johnny Depp's character, I'm trying to think, because he references, so that opening scene when it goes to the movie, I was completely confused, of course, because it has nothing to do with it. And then later on, they're asking him, tell the story that you wrote. And he starts talking about the one-eyed fish that swims on the bottom. And it's like a story that he came up with, which then they go back to at the end. He's with Jerry Lewis, and they catch the fish? I can't remember. Before the fish.
They did.
Yeah.
Oh, in the end, and then it flies.
Then the fish flies. So it's sort of, but I think, am I remembering that correctly? That he wrote that story? Is Johnny Depp a writer, or his character is a writer?
Yeah, he's some sort of like, he's written poetry and like lyrics and stuff. Okay. So probably
he's a fish ranger, right? He like works for the Department of Fish and Game or something.
Yes.
Yeah. In New York City.
In New York. So he has, because he's tagging the fish, and it has all that theme. Let's discuss my favorite scene. I rewound it a few times. The Jerry Lewis death scene should be taught in fucking film class. The music, the lighting, even the style of the acting, because it was very heavy. It was almost like a soap opera and melodramatic, but it worked. It was the perfect tone for that scene. And in the end, with the music, was amazing. That tribal drum thing, and then the ambulance goes right up to the moon, and that shot holds. It was like 20 seconds of the ambulance just going on up towards the moon. I saw that thing a few times. I'm like, how did they do that? It was fascinating. Judy, did you have like a scene in this film that just hit you weird?
The dinner scene, and when she jumps off the balcony and is jumping up and down with the pantyhose, and I think because it kind of reminded me of Clue, because they're all doing something of importance to them within one scene. that just is like, they're all really dedicated. It's just, it's funny and it's serious at the same time. I think Vincent Gallo was like under the table or something at that point. He's
And no, and then he takes up his dinner plate and they
yeah,
push the
he's
table.
eating, I think. Or is that what
And then he's like, hey, Johnny's like, hey, Vincent, hey, Paul. His name is Paul in the movie. I need help with this. And Paul, I'm eating.
Yeah.
Does that whole thing.
Yeah. They're also, I was curious too. This is so she keeps not dying, and then there's a scene of her with Johnny Depp with the gun.
Yeah, the
And like
Russian
guns
roulette
go
scene.
off. There's all these things. Was it her father and the ex-husband of the step, obviously the same person? I was wondering, was there some sort of spiritual or paranormal essence to it? Because even at the end, spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't watched the film yet, when she does actually kill herself at the end and the tree gets struck by lightning, I was wondering, are they trying to me, it seemed like the father was trying, almost had a role in that. Am I making this up?
No, it's cool.
None of
I
that
think it
crossed my
works.
mind, but it could be.
Okay.
I thought of something else, as in like action in the characters also exists in nature, and that's what, like, it just made it more romantic.
My whole thing is that, like, there was a moment where it was stated in the narration that the gun was introduced. Am I remembering that right? The gun existed in the film because somebody had to use it at some point.
Oh,
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
So
the payoff. Yeah.
so it was like somebody had to get shot, and it just happened to be her. That was my kind of how I took it. Like, it was really sort of arbitrary. Like, I think everything was arbitrary. It was stream of consciousness.
Oh, it was the scene in the bar. Vincent Gallo was talking to him, and he said, I think he had something to do with script, or was he put the gun down on the table, and they said, just so you know, whenever you see a gun in a movie,
Oh yeah.
it's always going to come. They placed it differently and different. There was like, it was the rule of three. They had it 3 times in the bar, then when they were shooting themselves, and then when she actually shot herself.
You mean when they were doing the Russian roulette is the second one?
So there was 3
Right.
there were at least 3 scenes with the gun. So
Yeah,
they paid it
That's
off.
cool.
I mean, this might be one of those movies where if I watched it over and over again, I would find, like, I would eventually piece together like a very coherent, clear-cut narrative. But something tells me that that wouldn't happen. But it's possible. I mean, because when I saw, like, first time I saw Mulholland Drive, I was like, that stuck with me. And then I was like, I don't completely understand what this is about. It's sort of dreamlike, and then I saw it like 5 more times, and I was like, okay, I think I have an idea of what this could be about. Like, every single thing. I think I can string this whole thing together now and make a coherent narration out of it. What was real, what wasn't real, what was fantasy, what was reality. And I, like, unlike with David Lynch, who I think is kind of a master at doing those kinds of things. I'm not sure you could do that with this movie. But again, I only saw it once, so I have to give the benefit of the doubt and say maybe there's a lot more there that I just didn't pick up on it because I only saw it once.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
Reminded me a lot of the show Northern Exposure. Remember the show Northern Exposure?
He cleaned up the Emmys, man. That show got a lot of Emmys.
It was
Adam Arkin.
Adam Arkin had a part in it, and it was the late 80s, early 90s. It was Rob.
It was during Twin Peaks.
Who's the leader?
Rob Morrow.
Rob Morrow. Yeah, Rob Morrow was in it, and it's about a guy who goes up to Alaska from New York City, and he gets trapped there for like a year to be their doctor. And there was all these Eskimo scenes in it and dreams,
just like Twin Peaks.
Yeah, it was like a friendlier, nuttier Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
And it was by David
E. Kelly?
David Chase, who did Sopranos.
Was it?
Oh, really?
David Chase's last show before he goes over and creates Sopranos. That's why there's so many dreams in it. And like, there's a Freud episode, there's a Jung episode. Yeah, there's a lot of precursors to the dreams in Sopranos. But
Yeah, I never liked that chick with the mole. I couldn't get into it because of her. She just rubbed me the wrong way.
she's so hot. Janine Turner.
Yeah, I know she's hot, but that mole, like I remember her in a car commercial back then, and it kind of creeped me out. I don't know. I just thought she would look like Evelyn from He-Man. Hold on, there's an ambulance coming.
The cops are coming for you, Sean.
I liked her mole. It was like a continuation of her like eyebrow. Like it was the same size of her eyebrow. It just looked like part of her eyebrow got shaved off, and I don't know. Anyway, I thought she was good. She was
Okay, I'm back.
She was in Cliffhanger with Stallone.
Oh, yeah, that movie just came to Netflix, baby. I fucking tweeted about.
I know
that,
what I'm
man.
doing
excited.
this weekend.
I'm doing, yeah, man, right?
Take my
Get some
hand.
Stallone in there, man. I like his shit. Assassins was really good too. Some of those films are really good. But back back to Arizona Dream. I just kind of liked it how Vincent Gallo played a Sicilian because he's just so Sicilian. And
Yeah, and the way that they kind of played, like him and was it like the uncle teamed up, and like they were
Jerry Lewis.
the whole car dealership, like the through line was so weird. It was almost like it was like really important to.
It's like what
to
the
him
French
that
think Americans are.
Well, it was, yeah, okay, that makes sense. No, it was like it was like almost like he goes to Faye Dunaway to like rescue his nephew and pull him back so that he'll take over the car dealership, and almost like he didn't have a legacy or something, and he needed Johnny Depp to take over, or whatever. I don't know. That whole like obsession with getting them to work in the car dealership was very weird to me. But
And
that
got brought up in the ambulance scene where Johnny Depp is trying to get Jerry Lewis. I've been practicing my hellos. Louis. You want to hear my hellos? And he's like,
I don't want you to. Yeah.
Honestly, Seth, you and me, let's do that scene. I'll be Jerry. You can be Johnny.
Sure.
All right. I don't mind being. I'll be Jerry. You want to be Johnny?
Right.
And then we'll do it both.
Yeah, sure. We can do it. Like,
okay.
This next scene is from Arizona Dreams. I bet
I would do scenes from Last Boy Scout, baby. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just so glad I remembered this film and then I researched it. So let's I think I found the box office. So guess what this movie brought in?
Very little.
100 what? Say it.
Very little. I don't know.
$112,000.
And how much did it
Was
cost?
at least 3 million. It doesn't say, but it was at least 3 million. And there's a version that's longer, man. I want to check this out. It's like I've been to film school. They don't teach these gems, by the way. You always got to start with anyway, I don't want to get into it. But yeah,
probably the structure isn't there. You need to learn like proper structure.
I guess. But how many times can you see D.W. Griffith? And then it's just going throughout the semester in any film class. You got to go through all like the same. It's the same stuff. I get it, but there's also others. Whatever that you could show. And I don't know. Even Vincent Gallo, he did Buffalo 66 and 98, a few years after this, which is a masterpiece. And then he did the Brown Bunny a few years after that. But it just seems so weird because I don't know. To me, it just seems like Johnny Depp is one of the coolest guys in the world, but Vincent Gallo was right there with him. That's all I was thinking.
How many movies are there where Johnny Depp narrates the movie? That's what I was thinking when I watched this movie. Blow, he narrates the movie.
Oh yeah, Blow, yeah.
This
Arizona
one.
Dream.
Did he narrate Donnie Brasco a little bit or no?
I think so. I only saw that once.
I think he does even. I think there are others that
he's
been in so many.
He's got a good voice for it.
Yeah.
Like
I loved him in Crybaby.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of my mom's favorite films. She had it on VHS. She's like, "Sean, watch this."
I believe I had it too because I watched it a lot.
What about
many
21
years
That's
Jump
later-
Street?
Mr. Crybaby to
I
you.
wasn't a huge 21 Jump Street. I think it was a little bit, I don't,
It was
21 Jump Street, I might
1990.
not
It
have
was a
been
little
allowed to
after-
watch much. I was kind of,
Yeah,
it was a little bit ahead
before
of me.
our time.
It's
Yeah.
like Jump Street was like 86 to 89.
Yeah, I was
He was-
still
Yeah, my
little,
sister,
so-
my older sister was really into it. I remember that.
Yeah.
Every girl in high school when that came out had a massive crush on Johnny Depp.
I'll tell you this.
I mean, he's
Here's-
like a
here's
high
story.
school student who's like an undercover agent. I mean, that's, you know.
I remember my sister had the Teen Beat, and on one they had the full page of actors and stuff, you know, like weirdo headshots from photo shoots. And on one page it was Johnny Depp, and on the other page behind the Johnny Depp page was River Phoenix. And my sister was like, I don't know what to hang up. They're both so hot. So she got a chair, went on her ceiling, and put a push pin like right on the top, so both sides hang down like this, so you could see
Mm.
Johnny on one side and River on the other. Those were the days, huh?
Do kids still put posters out?
Huh?
No, I'm like, because I feel like it's iconic of at least our generations and
No,
those
they-
preceding it, where they put up posters of people around their room, and I'm like,
no,
is that
this was
still
like
a thing?
91.
I don't know.
Yeah, now the kids, they buy digital poster NFTs and they put them up in the living room in their metaverse universe.
Oh, is that
Yeah,
what
I
they
don't
do?
know.
I don't know. I mean, a lot of
I just got a
kids
Batman
exist
poster.
online nowadays.
There are posters, but a lot of them are like you just print out your own poster. It's like I was over at Forbidden Planet to get Shane a poster, and they do have them, but the amount of posters they have are much less because anyone can just go online
True.
and make a poster out of anything.
Yeah.
But
But I
posters
don't
are
know
still
if it's
a
a
thing.
thing of like teenage girls having like the new Heartthrob poster on their wall, like
Yeah.
people did back in the 90s with Johnny Depp or like
I-
the Backstreet Boys.
I
I was like
remember,
never into the Backstreet Boys, by the way. I was like anti boy band.
yeah,
I was
Yeah.
like, no.
I was like listening to Stravinsky and Charlie Parker when that stuff was coming out. um,
Yeah, I remember getting into jazz and blues because those cassettes and CDs were cheaper than conventional music. I'm like, you know what? Let me get into blues. It's good, right? And bought a bunch.
You know what I
rocked it
think a
out.
lot of teenagers, especially teenage girls, used to do, or maybe this is only because I saw my sister do it, was like they would cut out things from magazines that they liked and put that up on their wall because then they could
Yeah,
have
that's
more
what
stuff on their wall because they're smaller. My sister
We
used
did
to
have a
like,
lot of stuff on our walls.
what's that?
I do remember there was always stuff on the walls.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I guess people do that now with like vision boards. Now it's more like manifest your destiny.
I'm just trying to do it with art. Like I got a bunch of paintings up now. I'm happy. Like I'm gonna be like an old school art collector.
Yeah.
Wait,
So
can
um,
I?
we got to wrap it up here soon.
Yes.
All right.
We're gonna have
Hold
some
on, let-
final thoughts.
Yes,
Um,
let me give a Johnny Depp heartthrob line from the movie. He said, what if we're two rights and everyone else is wrong? That's hot. That's hot. I do like that Good Morning Columbus thing. I think I might do that in real life. I'll just do that with Sarah. Like in the morning, she always goes, every morning she says the same thing to me and I'm forgetting it. Oh, she says, good morning, sunshine. And I'm going to come back with Good Morning Columbus from now on. Okay.
And she won't
Thanks.
understand what you're talking about.
Yeah, I know, but she'll respect it. So, right?
If she respects
those
you,
are
she'll
my-
respect it.
Those are my final thoughts, as well as I'm going to take this video, I'm going to send it to Vincent Gallo, and we'll see if he'll watch it the whole time, because half of my mind thinks he will just because he wants to hear his name said, and the other half of me thinks he won't because he's too busy for this shit.
Well,
You know,
let's be real about it. He doesn't like. He does whatever he wants. I don't.
yeah,
think,
that's what
don't
I
think
like
that he-
about him.
I don't think that this selling stuff online is something he's doing because he needs to make money. He knows how to make money. He's made a lot of money outside of film. He's
Yeah.
successful. Like it's very clear there's a guy who knows how to hustle. So like he's
Mm.
doing what he wants to do. This is like if he's selling his childhood bed sheets,
For
getting his-
$3,500.
he's getting his rocks off by doing that somehow. Like that's I don't know what it is, but that's part of his like artistic expression. That's what he wants to do.
Oh, and those
I don't-
one-on-one
like-
T-shirts.
I don't think he
He
really
has-
cares. Like enough to sit through.
Don't you think though he probably has
this
that
entire
attitude like some
conversation.
artists are like, you're an idiot if you buy my stuff. You're just
I
Like,
do,
those-
I do.
yeah,
A little
Yeah,
bit,
maybe.
a little bit.
It's also just like curious. I mean, I'd just be curious,
Mhm.
I guess. Like
Yeah.
it's performance art.
Mhm.
Judy, Judy, do you have any final thoughts?
No, I think it's one of those movies that's definitely I don't know if it'll be for everybody because especially people who really like easy to follow, entertaining stories and maybe like films for more of their entertain. Maybe they'd like, What Stays in Vegas or what was the name of that movie? They might like that
That
more
awful
than
piece
they
of
would
crap.
like this.
Yeah.
So I don't think this movie is for everyone, but I do think it's worth a shot. I do think especially anyone who is, a film connoisseur or an actor or a filmmaker should
Yeah.
definitely watch the film.
You
But
could
for a
learn
general
something.
audience, I'm not really too sure. Maybe it's just for the cool people.
I got one other Johnny Depp-ism. Ready? Your other side. You lose something, but you gain something. I think I read that wrong.
Like it's just like say anything, but just
Did that
you
make any
deliver it
sense
to
what I
make
just
it
said?
like-
Did it make any sense?
It's exactly
I
the
don't-
problem with that.
Yes,
That sums
okay.
up the problem with this film. Is
So,
Yeah.
so our next video, we're not going to do a recommended movie, but we're going to do a year in review.
wait, we're
Okay.
not doing a new movie next?
No, we'll
no,
do
I
the
thought
year
we
in
were gonna
review.
do
We'll
it-
do the year in review. That's fine.
Yeah. Okay.
That's
Cool.
fine.
Year in review.
It'll give me time to figure out what the next movie should be.
Oh, I
anyway.
was gonna say, what's the next one, Seth?
I don't know. I don't know what it is yet. It might be if we can find Evening Primrose, we could do Evening Primrose. That Sondheim movie musical that was only aired once on TV.
It was like
Oh.
a variety show type of thing, like
It was like a
a series.
Yeah, it wasn't a variety show. It was
No, not a
a
variety show. It was a series,
Like a
but
broadcast.
but
The
each
broadcast,
broadcast, yeah, but each episode didn't necessarily have any, like there was no kind of cohesive.
No, it was like a Twilight Zone.
No, but it was even like Twilight Zone's about like weird. This was like not every Twilight Zone has a sci-fi component.
Yeah.
This wasn't
Yeah.
this wasn't genre specific. This series, it was kind of random.
Yeah.
And this happened to be one of the more well-known ones. I haven't seen it. I only know about it from you, Seth.
Yeah. I saw it at the
Um,
Museum of TV and Radio, so I don't know if it's even available online, but I'll look for it. And if not, I was thinking about Peter Jackson's Meet the Feeples, which is
Never
his
saw that one.
which is his X-rated Muppet show.
But is that his first one? First one?
I don't think it's his first movie, but it's
It's like its
It-
second or its
it
third.
might be the second or third. Yeah.
You know what's funny?
Mhm.
The citizens of New Zealand paid for the budget for those films. That's it. Done.
Because it's socialism that
Interesting.
taxes. pay for
I just
those
think it's like he as taxpayer dollars, baby. Like bad taste if you ever seen that.
Canadians pay for Cronenberg movies, so I mean, like the first
And
one.
Cronenberg, like everywhere but
Wait,
America.
Cronenberg's films were funded by the government,
by the
Canadian.
Canadian
by
Film
Canadian tax
this-
dollars.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
the CBC. It's
Very
their
interesting.
state thing. Yeah.
All
Yeah. Right.
folks. Well, we're gonna see you guys next week with the year in review. It's been a real pleasure chatting with you guys about Arizona Dream, and peace.